first set stats, 2 blocks for Lindsey Wilson, 1 for Midland. Midland only at 0.86 after 10 kills, 7 errors, 35 swings. Lindsey Wilson at 371, 15 kills, 2 errors, 35 swings. And defensively, 12 digs for Lindsey Wilson, 16 digs for Midland. And Midland and Lindsey Wilson will switch sides. Midland's on the far side now, and Lindsey Wilson will take over in front of us. And we will continue with this quarterfinal matchup across the way. Park and Southern Oregon have gone through one set, and Park won the first one by 2, 25-23. Southern Oregon knocked out Rocky Mountain College, the number 9 team, this morning. And in the game to play libero will be Lazarle. For Lindsey Wilson right in front of us. And Jasa Russell is back for Midland. And back to serve for Midland, Mackenzie Wecker. She will start out the rotation at serve for the Midland Warriors. And Midland will try to get a set back from Lindsey Wilson. Wecker pushes it to the backside to Mikelova. Bump set back to Mikelova. Mikelova to the roll shot, and that drops on the floor in front of the back row defense. That dropped in just in front of Mackenzie Wecker, who is playing right on the back line after serving, and that's what they do. Ellie Burke back to serve for the Blue Raiders. Midland ready, cross court, covered by Jenny Bear, and a hammer job for Midland ties it up. Cheyenne Smith gets into that one and puts it away. She's from Macedonia, Iowa. And back to serve for Midland, Brooke Fredrickson. Fredrickson with about 8, 9, 10 dribbles, and now she will launch. All tied up at 1 in the first 2 points, and a service error for Brooke Fredrickson. And Lindsey Wilson takes the 2-1 lead as Klara Mikelova goes back to serve for the Blue Raiders. She will set up on the far right corner, launch her 4-stepper, take it to the middle back, covered, put down on the front row by Gracie Blomstead. That overpass from Midland on the tough serve by Mikelova turns into an easy put down for Gracie Blomstead. Klara Mikelova back to work, and she will shoot it to the back corner, covered by Brooke Fredrickson. Blomstedt there at the net again. The deflection run down by Fredrickson. Mikelova makes a great play. Blomstedt tries to sweep it past Fredrickson. Doesn't happen. And on the front row, Priscilla O'Dowd scores with a little tip down the net behind the block. 3-2, Lindsey Wilson. Jenny Bear back to serve for the Warriors. And Bear will send it deep to Mikelova. The set to the outside. Pushed over by Sarah Cruz. That's going to find its way to the floor. And Lindsey Wilson has doubled up on Midland in the early going of the second set. Into the game comes Soboleska for the Blue Raiders. And back to serve Peyton Johnston. Andy Cavins gives the location signal. I think he always wears white pants when I see him here at the Nationals. Kind of a traditional thing, I guess. To the outside, covered by Midland, or on the Midland swing. Diving save by Harris. Back to Jenny Bear. Bear tries to drop it in. Soboleska gets there. Midland has to go back to work. The slide set. Fredrickson gets dug out. Swept into the air by the setter. And put over to Lindsey Wilson. Back to the outside. Sarah Cruz finally gets it done. 5-2. Sarah Cruz, the 6'3 freshman from Czech Republic, gets it done finally after a frantic rally. Peyton Johnston back to serve for the Blue Raiders. It's 5-2, Lindsey Wilson. Peyton Johnston, cross court, swept into the air by O'Dowd. O'Dowd gets it back and puts it away. And that gets the side out for Midland. And back to serve goes Ellie Burke. O'Dowd, rather. Looking at the wrong sheet here. My apologies. O'Dowd puts it in play back to Mikelova. There's a shank. Helped out, though, by Lazarle. Midland on the attack. Cross court. Swept over by Taylor Peterson. Covered. Pushed over on the front row by Soboleska. And on the Midland side of the floor, that's a point for Lindsey Wilson, and they lead 6-3. And back to serve for Lindsey Wilson, Autumn Proctor, the setter. A 5'10 freshman setter from California. So Proctor takes the service location from Andy Cavens, sends it across to Jana Russell. Swept into the air on the deflection by Peters. Here's the attack for Midland, and she can't get it over the net. Taylor Peterson can't get high enough to get that ball over the net. And Lindsey Wilson has opened up the 4-point lead, 7-3. Autumn Proctor back to serve for the Blue Raiders. And it's going to go back to Priscilla O'Dowd. The set gets tipped over. Mikelova's on it. High bounce off the block of Midland. And what's the call? Net violation? A double is called on the set. So Lindsey Wilson gets tagged with the double. It's 7-4 Lindsey Wilson, as they lose a point there on the setting violation. Lazzaroli tipped over beautifully by Sarah Cruz, and the kill is down in the back corner for Sydney Morehouse. Morehouse, a 5'10 sophomore middle blocker. Klara Mikelova gets ready, and it doesn't make it to her on the serve from Jessica Peters. Mikelova was in center back getting ready for that one and didn't make it to her as the net got in the way. And back to serve goes to Souza from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Nathalia de Souza gets set. She moves over to the middle of the floor and puts it in play. Takes it back to Russell. To the outside. Big swing from Fredrickson. Knocked back to the Midland Warriors, and that point goes to Midland. Another passing problem on that huge swing from Midland that time, and Lindsey Wilson couldn't get a clean dig on it. And back to serve for Midland, Nicole Scovsensi. Mikelova plays it on the line. The set goes back to Soboleska. Covered, pushed over just off the top of the block, back to Midland. To the opposite side. Cheyenne Smith gets dug out. Off the block by Jenny Bear. Covered. Back row attack is muscled out the back door by DeSouza. She really liked reaching back on that one and putting everything she had into that one, and it landed about 3 feet out the back door. It's 8-7 Lindsey Wilson. A much tighter set so far in this one. And back to serve. Midland. Scovsenza with the serve. And Jenny Bear gets stuffed blocked by Lindsey Wilson. Lindsey Wilson puts up the wall and takes the 2-point lead, 9-7. Lilo Lazzarelli goes back to serve. Lazzarelli launches the serve, flops it off the net for the ace. 10-7 Lindsey Wilson. Really tough when that ball hits the top of the net and falls straight down. And Lazzarelli goes back to work for Lindsey Wilson to try to push some points. 10-7 Lindsey Wilson. Back to the deep corner. Jenny Bear has it. The set goes back to Jenny Bear. Knocked back by the block. Ellie Burke was there on the touch. To the backside, Ellie Burke gets the set and puts it down on the cross. A reach by Jessica Peters wasn't going to get the return. And Lindsey Wilson is up 11-7, and Paul Geiselman calls the timeout as Lindsey Wilson rolling in the second set. We're back in a moment. Out of the, she's 4 of 10, hitting .300. That's right around her season-long average for Midland University. Back to work for Lilo Lazzarelli. And Larla's there, pushes it to the backside. The pass is there by Scovsenza, and then hit out of bounds, hitting error for Midland. That one came bombing over from Sydney Morehouse, and it went too long. Larzalaire back to serve. Larzalaire puts it in play to the back line. The pass by Skovsenda is covered on the back row. Nice up by DeSouza. And a kill on the front row for Klara. And Klara Mikelova puts it away. And Lindsey Wilson running away out of the timeout. They're up 13-7 now, as Larzalaire goes back to work at service line. And she takes it to the back row. Priscilla O'Dowd with the pass, put to the floor by Midland, and finally a side out, 13-8. The serve received from Priscilla O'Dowd, and the set went right back to her for the kill. And back to serve Mackenzie Wecker for Midland. Midland launches the jumper back to Mikelova. The set is picked off on the front row. That's on the floor for Grace Blomstead. It was a shoot set that could have gone out to Mikelova. Instead, Grace Blomstead picks it off just over the net and surprises the Midland defense. Ellie Burke back to serve. She takes it deep to Mackenzie Wecker. The quick set is down in the middle for Priscilla O'Dowd. That's an effective weapon, as she got that quick set and went against the grain for the seam and got it. 14-9, Lindsey Wilson. Back to serve Brooke Fredrickson. Fredrickson will launch the high toss. Larzalaire gets under it. Back row attack for Ellie Burke. That's off the block and down out the back door. Didn't matter because there was a touch at the net. And Lindsey Wilson moves out by 6. Mikelova back to serve. She will move over to the right side. Midland trying to break some service runs quickly and somehow fight back into this one. Pushed over by Jenny Bear, covered with a dive by Larzalaire. That swing by Sarah Cruz covered into the block of Gracie Blomstead. And the second load goes down for Brooke Fredrickson. And Midland gets a quick side out there, 15-10. Jenny Bear back to serve. Bear from the middle of the floor launches the 3-step jumper. Takes it back to Klara Mikelova to the opposite side. Roll shot over the top for Sarah Cruz. And that's pushed to the floor by Midland's Priscilla O'Dowd. Going at the angle and getting away from that straight-on block of Gracie Blomstead. And Midland coming back, 15-11. Jenny Bear back to serve. Mikelova, perfect pass to the center, to the outside. And that is through the block and down for Sarah Cruz. 16-11. And the leader for Midland now is Priscilla O'Dowd with 7 kills in 14 swings. She's almost at 500. Had to toss an error in there. Peyton Johnston back to serve for the Blue Raiders. Deep ball to Mackenzie Wecker. That's pushed straight down by O'Dowd, and O'Dowd is taking over on the net. That is 8 kills now for O'Dowd, and she's at 467. She's hit her stride on the attack for Midland, and Midland is down by 4. Priscilla O'Dowd goes back to serve. Ellie Burke with the pass to the center, to the outside, to Sarah Cruz, and the point goes to Midland on the error. That never got over the net. 16-13, Warriors within 3. Priscilla O'Dowd back to serve for the Midland Warriors. Larzalaire is going to get this one. She hits it perfectly to Proctor and then pushed over. O'Dowd with a dig. And that's going to be a roofing call on Lindsey Wilson. 16-14. Andy Cavins has to be close to a timeout, and he is shaking his head. The Lindsey Wilson Blue Raiders at Midland is hitting to serve Priscilla O'Dowd, who has really been turning it up a notch here for her team. O'Dowd waits, now launches from the left corner to Larzalaire. Back to the outside to Cruz for the miss. It's a 1-point game. Sarah Cruz doesn't get it over the net. And Priscilla O'Dowd with a chance to get it tied up after a nice run. O'Dowd, the jump serve. Deep ball to Mikelova. She's involved on a lot of stuff. Slide set to Soboleska. Here's the attack from Midland. Pushed over. Covered on the swing by Peterson. Back row attack. And that's going to be swept out of the net, but first an aerial contact. And Midland gives up the point. Lindsey Wilson finally gets the side out. That deflection took it right into the aerial off the attempted dig for the Midland Warriors. 17-5. And back to serve goes Autumn Proctor. She's passed up by Wecker, pushed over by Mikelova. She makes a pass from her backside. Pretty clever there. The quick set to the middle, and that is sent back on the swing by Lindsey Wilson, and Sydney Morehouse gets rejected. It's back to a 3-point lead, but still time for Midland to come back. Pushed over by Autumn Proctor. The set to the outside. Jenny Baer dug out. They set up Allie Burke. Burke dug out by Brooke Fredrickson. Pushed over at the net by Morehouse. And that's down on the Midland side of the net as the reach by Fredrickson can't steer it back to a teammate. And Lindsey Wilson pulling away after Midland got within one. It's back to a 4-point lead, 19-15. Autumn Proctor back to serve. The set to the middle. Peterson gets knocked back. Fredrickson sends it back to Larzalaire. And a huge thumper from the middle for Morehouse. Actually, that goes to Lindsey Wilson. Didn't see which side of the net it came down. Lindsey Wilson moves out by National Volleyball Championships as Lindsey Wilson has gone 8 times in a row, and last time he took it all. And the Midland University Warriors have gone 6 times in a row. And Autumn Proctor will get set to deal it and try to get Lindsey Wilson 1 point closer to that 25-point goal line. Proctor takes it cross court, swept into the air, and pushed to the floor after the push at the net by Morehouse. So Morehouse gets the point down and the side out of the timeout. Still time for Midland to come back. And back to serve, Jessica Peters, the setter. Dump shot attempt, covered with a reach by O'Dowd. She saw that one coming, swept into the air by Ellie Burke, into the block, but covered by Lindsey Wilson. Here's the attack for Mikelova. Nobody covers it for Midland. Side out for Lindsey Wilson. Looked like confusion there as the donut hole was spread out, but there was time with that ball in the air for someone to make a move on the ball. Nathalia De Souza back to serve. 21-16 Blue Raiders. De Souza gets set. And she will take it across and get a good pass to the setter. Outside to Fredrickson. High off the block. Covered with a run by Larzalaire. And put over by Burke. And the rebound goes way over the head of Fredrickson. No chance to steer it over the net. And now Lindsey Wilson has righted its ship, and they will be 3 points away from going up 2-0. De Souza back to serve for the Blue Raiders. Blue Raider ball from the right corner. And that will go deep to Fredrickson. The slide set to the outside. That's on the floor. And give it to Morehouse as she finds the corner for 22-17. Midland down by 5, and into the game for Midland comes Cheyenne Smith, number 1, right in the front row. Midland has the serve. Nicole Skovsenda, and then she gets punished with the attempt by Lindsey Wilson. Another big swat from Lindsey Wilson that comes right back to him. Out to Mikelova, and the recover somehow by Lindsey Wilson on the solid stuff block. To the outside, and Jenny Baer gets a net violation out of Lindsey Wilson finally. Boy, that was a frantic point. Everyone slamming the ball everywhere and letting the ball ricochet off of them, but every time it was kept alive by the teams. And Skovsenda back to serve for the Warriors. Skovsenda from the left side launches it back to Mikelova. The quick set to the middle, off the block and down for Lindsey Wilson. Soboleska gets it off the block, slowed it down. The back cover could not get there. And it's 23-18. Back to serve goes Larzalaire, the libero for the Blue Raiders. Cross court, pass is on target. The set back to Jenny Bear, covered. Here's the attack for Lindsey Wilson. Ellie Burke gets it off the block into the back corner for the kill. And Lindsey Wilson is at set point to go up 2-0, and Larzalaire will try to deal it home from the service line. Midland down by 6. They need to fight off a bunch of set points here to stay in this second set. Larzalaire back to serve. Sending it cross court. Jenny Bear's there. The slide set to Morehouse. Roll shot over the top. Covered by Ellie Burke. Back to the outside to Mikelova. A tip behind the block. Swept into the air. Back to Jenny Bear. That's going to be in the stands on the deflection off the back left corner defense of Autumn Proctor. Midland within 5. They have fought off 2 set points. And back to serve, Mackenzie Wecker. Wecker from the middle of the floor. Shoots it deep to DeSouza. Big swing ends it for Lindsey Wilson. The quick set to the middle, and that's down from Mikelova, and Midland loses the second set. Lindsey Wilson goes up 2-0. We'll be back in a moment with set number 3 on the NAIA television network.